Hello, and welcome to Historical Humans Reads, where we take primary sources and bring them to your screen. I'm Colum Coleman, and today, to kick off this year's Halloween festivities, we are reading from a short story by one of the world's most prolific horror writers. This particular story follows a family as they attempt to take the Jaunt, a teleportation service between the planets of the solar system that just might have some dire consequences for its users. Published first in Twilight Zone Magazine in 1981 and again in 1985 as part of the collection of The Skeleton Crew, our story is none other than Stephen King's The Jaunt. Today we'll be reading a part of Chapter 2 of The Jaunt by Stephen King, and with that, let's begin. It was not like an electric shock, Karun wrote in his one and only article on the subject before the government shut him up. The article was published, of all places, in Popular Mechanics. He had sold it to them for $750 in a last-ditch effort to keep the Jaunt a matter of private enterprise. There was none of that unpleasant tingle that one gets if one grasps a frayed lamp cord, for instance. It was more like the sensation one gets if one puts one's hand on the casing of some small machine that is working very hard. The vibration is so fast and light that it is literally a tingling sensation. Then I looked down at the portal and saw that my index finger was gone on a diagonal slant through the middle knuckle, and my second finger was gone slightly above that. In addition, the nail portion of my third finger had disappeared. Karun had jerked his hand back instinctively, crying out. He had so much expected to see blood, he wrote later, that he actually hallucinated blood for a moment or two. His elbow struck the ion gun and knocked it off the table. He stood there with his fingers in his mouth, verifying that they were still there and whole. The thought that he had been working too hard crossed his mind. And then the other thought crossed his mind. The thought that the last set of modifications might have done something. He did not push his fingers back in. In fact, Karun only jaunted once more in his entire life. At first, he did nothing. He took a long, aimless walk around the barn, running his hands through his hair, wondering if he should call Carson in New Jersey, or perhaps Buffington in Charlotte. Carson wouldn't accept a collect phone call, cheap ass-kissing bastard. But Buffington probably would. Then an idea struck him and he ran across the portal too, thinking that if his fingers had actually crossed the barn, there might be some sign of it. There was not, of course. Portal 2 stood atop 3 stacked Pomona orange crates, looking like nothing so much as one of those toy guillotines missing the blade. On one side of its stainless steel frame was a plug-in jack from which a cord ran back to the transmission terminal, which was little more than a particle transformer hooked into a computer feed line, which reminded him. Karun glanced at his watch and saw it was 11:15. His deal with the government consisted of short money plus computer time, which was infinitely valuable. His computer tie-in lasted until 3 o'clock this afternoon, and then it was goodbye till Monday. He had to get moving, had to do something. I glanced at the pile of crates again, Karun writes in his Popular Mechanics article. And then I looked at the pads of my fingers. And sure enough, the proof was there. It would not, I thought then, convince anyone but myself. But in the beginning, of course, It is only oneself that one has to convince. This has been an excerpt from The Jaunt on Historical Humans Reads. If you enjoyed this video and would like to hear more excerpts from original text, please subscribe to be notified of the next one. If there is a work you would like to hear, be sure to like this video and leave a comment listing it below. Thank you for listening.